So today I want to sit down for a few minutes and I want to rant mostly off the cuff. I have a couple of notes here, but mostly off the cuff about the Heart of Azeroth system, specifically the details behind it and those of you that are interested in switching mains. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this is because I have a long-term friend of mine, someone who he's been part of the guild. He's been raiding with us. He's been a friend of mine for a long time, since like Dragon Soul back in Cataclysm. So you're looking at like 2011, like the end of 2011. So this guy has been around. He's been a friend of mine. We've raided together. We've played together. We've played other games for 7 years now. And this is a guy who he has tanked for my guild in some capacity for a long time. Mostly, he's been tanking on his Death Knight. And he approached me a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, and he says, hey, I don't think I'm going to be playing my Death Knight come Battle for Azeroth. Which, of course, for me was a huge surprise that, this dude that's been playing this same character since, like I said, before he joined us with Dragon Soul, is no longer going to play this character. He says, I want something fresh, I want something new, I want something different. I'm kind of tired of tanking. I want somebody else to get, a chance to do it, etc., etc. I want to try something different. And it came as a surprise to me. So just so we're all on the same page, the Heart of Azeroth system that you guys will see in Battle for Azeroth, if you haven't already, and I'm sure most of you guys have been keeping up with it on, all the videos out there as far as beta information, alpha information, and whatnot. But for those of you that have no clue what it is, you will go through a short scenario during the first few moments of Battle for Azeroth once it's released, or if you're on the beta, obviously, you will obtain this neck piece that you will keep for the entire expansion, almost exactly like the current weapon that you have for Legion. And you will obtain artifact power, very similar system to what we have now in Legion. You will obtain artifact power. The gear in your helm, shoulder, and chest slots will have essentially talents that you can choose from, one per row. And of course, there are artifact power requirements, level requirements, in order to get to that next tier. So your starting piece may be, 1, 2, 3. Later pieces may be, 1, 5, 10, whatever. I'm making shit up. This is going to replace the set bonuses that you would have obtained from each rating tier pieces, that tier 20, tier 21, tier 22. And it's essentially a talent system on your gear. This is also a replacement for legendaries. I think there was a comment somewhere that legendaries may exist, but not in the capacity that we currently see them. Not in this, you have 2, 3 of them on your character at one time. Just so we're all on the same page. So in theory, I think a lot of us really like this idea. From a raiding perspective, from a guild and raid leader perspective, worrying about loot, it means I don't have to worry about you as a player, as a raider, complaining that, so-and-so got the tier piece over you, and then it's a 20% upgrade for you and only a 10% upgrade for him. And, I don't have to worry about any of that, and we're not going to go into we're not talking about personal loot. We already talked about that. But I think it's a really cool idea. I think that it's something that has a lot of potential. I think it's something that has a lot of customization. I think it's a really cool system. I think that the kind of expectations or the presentation that was shown when this system was announced was that it would really let you as a player customize your gameplay based on what you're doing. That you would have these series of talents that you could choose from that could really alter your gameplay based on I only do LFR and world quests, and I really don't care about some of the rating tiers. Some of the bonuses, whatever that you could think of as far as boons and buffs and etc. that a raider would want to take. And vice versa. I'm a hardcore raider. I raid 4 days a week. I do normal LFR, mythic, heroic every single week. Maybe I don't need to worry about X, Y, and Z talent. The theory here, the expectation presented, at least my understanding from it, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, was that there would be a whole hell of a lot of customization. Now, the problem here is that I'm not really seeing it. Now, if you look at the information available, if you look at the beta right now, the items that you get have a trait specific for each spec. So you will obtain, super cool breastplate of awesomeness, and it will have that first row several talents, we'll go with talents that you can choose from for that row. Now, depending on your class, let's say, you're playing a mage, you have a frost, a fire, and an arcane talent. It's not really customization. That's not really a choice. Obviously, whatever spec you were playing at the time is going to be what you choose. And I find that system is very boring. And then the last option, it seems, for each piece of gear is a 5-item level upgrade. Overall, I think a lot of players, and myself, I find myself in the same camp. I find this to be a really boring system. I think that is really poorly done. I think that there is very little to no customization. I think it's boring. I think it's piss poor implementation. I think it could be done a hell of a lot better. I think that the idea is there, but it's not being done. And the fact that your artifact level determines how many of these that you can get means, of course, we're going to go back to this grinding, of course, all that. Now, this is fine, okay? The problem comes into the fact that now we have the weapon that we're losing. Spoiler alert, come the end of Legion, we're going to give up our artifact weapon. We're going to give up over time our tier. Obviously, if you're rocking, the latest mythic tier items, you're probably not going to get rid of them immediately. But eventually, before or right when you hit level 120, at some point you're going to give up your tier items. And you are going to have them replaced by this system that you choose one talent that you really don't have a choice about per level. And it's just, the whole thing is very boring. This is supposed to replace our legendaries. This is supposed to replace our bonuses from tier sets. It's not what we expected, and I find it to be very boring. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring up my friend who has raided for a long time and is switching mains, and is because he shared with me a concern that he had. And after thinking about it, this is a concern that I have. It's something that I can agree with. And it's the fact that currently he says he's been playing on the beta, that he feels like his new main, a caster, a DPS caster, is very boring. His new main that he's been playing around with is boring. It's slow. The gameplay is not at all what he feels like it is on live. He has the same class, the same spec. Obviously, I would say much better gear. He has tier gear and whatnot. Currently is much faster gameplay, more fun, more robust, etc. And he feels like damage-wise, speed-wise, gameplay-wise, that it's a lot more boring on beta. Obviously, there's a difference in gear. There's a difference in like we talked about, this Heart of Azeroth with, the different gear. I don't think he's geared out 120 yet on the beta. My point being this. I think let's split it up here. I want to talk specifically to my friend and those of you that find yourselves in this specific situation where maybe you're switching mains, maybe you're staying on the same one, but your concern is that you have lost a lot, that it's boring, that it's not at all what you expected. I would say have a little bit of caution. I don't think that there's anything wrong with my friend telling me, hey, I'm really concerned about the direction that this class is headed because I'm having fun now, but come BFA, if it slows down significantly like it's done and it doesn't pick back up, the DPS isn't there, the damage isn't there, the utility and the fun isn't there, and I don't have the same speed of gameplay, I'm probably not going to switch mains, or I'm going to find a different main to play that's not this class. I would say be cautiously optimistic. There's a lot of things that we haven't seen. Obviously, there's a lot more gear. There's the benefit of having a decently And when I say decently, I would say, if I had to guess, 950 plus geared out player versus this brand new BFA beta player. Of course, the gameplay is going to be faster. Of course, you're going to do more damage. And we're not talking about the item squish and the stat squish and all that. But of course, you're going to have faster, more robust gameplay. You're going to do more damage. Be cautiously optimistic. That being said, Blizzard, I know, it's a pipe dream to think that, anybody on the Blizzard development team, and we talked about this in the last video talking about loot and whatnot, personal loot. It would be crazy to think that any of these guys are going to be swayed, much less watch this video, but swayed into making changes. My comment to them, though, would be, you guys got to step it up. I find the fact that the last talent in each of the items is a 5 item level upgrade is very boring. It's very poorly done. It really just pushes this idea of, this get the highest item level, and there's a whole discussion about that we can have. But come on, man, like, where's the customization? We talked about, and I think it was one of my long-term viewers and subscribers, Hannah, who she and I had talked in the comments on one video about the Heart of Azeroth system and how cool it would be if you as a player could customize, like I mentioned earlier, could customize your gear based on what you do. So, I'm fine with paying gold to respec, or, having to pay for some type of reagent or something to respec. That I'm fine with. But where's the customization? There isn't one. And what I find even more troubling is they have said, if you get a certain, a certain item, let's say that breastplate off of whatever end boss in normal mode, a 5-man, whatever. You kill, my brain's not working right now. Let's say you do, I have Ashzara normal. We're making shit up here. And you get a chest piece. And it is part of the Heart of Azeroth system. It has all the talents, and you choose those talents. If you then do the same dungeon, hypothetically, on heroic difficulty, and the same chest piece drops, it will have the same talents. The numbers should be slightly higher. The same thing with Mythic, etc., that the numbers are going to be higher, and that's fine. But where's the customization? There isn't any. And so it's boring. It's simply boring. I'm not a big fan of it. And I think I share the same concerns that my friend does when it comes to the direction for the characters. Cautiously optimistic, but worried about where everything is headed. I've played a lot of characters in Legion. I played a lot of characters in Warlords of Draenor because of, the ebb and flows of my guild needing things. And so it would be a shame to have experienced some awesome gameplay, and there's a lot of good things about Legion, some awesome gameplay, some, very fast gameplay, some very robust gameplay, and then switch over to Battle for Azeroth, and it to significantly be stifled, to have it significantly be altered, or just much more boring gameplay. So I would say for both sides, players, be optimistic, but be cautious. Keep learning things, keep digging into the information, but give it a chance. Blizzard, if you guys ever see this, you got to step it up. Be more creative, more customization. Show us the creativity that you guys have had in the past. With all that being said, guys, hopefully you like what I'm saying here. If you do, if you don't, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, hit the thumbs up, thumbs down, all that good stuff. Until next time, I'll see you.